In this section, we are going to be solving system of equations by graphing, part 1. So we're going to start with the basics of what we're going to do. You want to find the ordered pair that is a solution to both equations. So let's first write down our two equations. We have the equation y equals x minus 1 and y equals negative x plus 3. So we have to graph these. Now, my suggestion would be to graph using the slope and y intercept. Now, you can graph using a t-table. You can graph using anything you'd like. But to me, I always would like to solve the equations for y, which means get the y by itself, use slope and y intercept. So let's review what slope and y intercept is again. Slope and y intercept is y equals mx plus b. And if you remember, your m represents your slope. That is the slant of the line. The y-intercept is your b. And the y-intercept, if you remember, is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So, if I'm looking at example number 1, y equals x minus 1, your m is 1. And we want to make it a fraction, so it's going to be 1 over 1. Your b is negative 1. In the second example, our y-intercept is 3, and our slope is negative 1. So our graph, in the first example, our graph is going to go uphill, up 1 over 1, and it's going to cross the y-axis at negative 1. Our second graph is going to go downhill since our slope is negative, and it's going to cross the y-axis at 3. So let's graph this. And by the way, when you graph this, you must use a ruler, because if you are just a little bit off and you are not precise, the point of intersection is not going to work. So we're going to graph our two lines. Label the x and y axes. Alright, so let's graph our first equation. We always start at the y-intercept. Our y-intercept is negative 1. So we are going to put a dot on negative 1 on the y-axis. Our slope is 1 over 1. Now if you remember, rise over run. The top number tells us to go up or down. The bottom number tells us to go left or right. Because this is positive, we are going to go up 1. So we're going to go up 1 over 1. And that's where we're going to put our dot. Up 1 over 1. You can do that again. Up 1 over 1. Put another dot. And we draw our line. Now let's draw our second equation. Our second equation is going to cross at 3 on the y-axis. And we are going to go down 1, since our slope is negative, down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Draw our line. Now here comes the part that's pretty easy. If you drew it correctly, our point of intersection is our answer. Where does this graph cross? This graph crosses at 2, 1. So our answer is 2, 1. If you wanted to, you could take your x and y value and plug them in up here, and it should work. And that is our answer. So once again, you are solving the equations for y, graphing them if you want using slope and y intercept, and then you graph them and find the point of intersection. Example number 2. Y equals 2x minus 1 and y equals negative 3x plus 4. Let's first find our m and b. Since these are both in slope-intercept form, our m in the first equation is 2, so we're going to do 2 over 1. Our b, our y-intercept, is negative 1. Our second equation is m equals negative 3 over 1, which means it goes downhill, and our b is 4. So now we graph. All right, our first equation has a y-intercept of -1, so I put a dot on -1. Our slope is positive 2 over 1, so I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. I'm going to do it again, up 2 over 1. Use a ruler or a straight edge to graph those. Now look at our second equation. B equals 4, so it's going to cross at 4. Since our slope is -3 over 1, we're going to go down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Our point's already there. Down 3 over 1 if you wanted to go again. And there is our line. What is that point of intersection? It is 1, 1. And that's it. You graph the two lines, find the point of intersection, and that's your answer.